Hello everyone and welcome back to the Belgian Beer Brothers channel. Cedric here from Antwerp with another beer review for you guys. We are not gonna talk about the brewery this time because we already talked about them with Azel Beer, and I will post a link up here if you guys wanna hear that story. I'll link you through to that video. There's no need in telling it twice. But we are going to talk about one of their older beers called Petrus, or Petrus for the English speaking people. You guys might notice, especially if you're British, maybe not if you're American, but I believe Lidl has exported this beer to the UK somewhere last summer. Back then you could get it for about £6-7 for a 4-pack, which is pretty much the price we pay here. But Petrus is one of the oldest beers that the Brabandere makes. They started out, well, actually they started in the 70s with something completely different, but they started out with, in 1982, a series of red, brown and sour ales under the name or under the brand Petrus, and a second series consisted of 3 beers, namely the Blonde, the Double and the Triple. And today we're gonna taste the Double. Now, I have high hopes for this beer. I haven't tasted it myself yet, but it won gold at the World Beer Awards in 2011, and I actually kind of like the fact that they rebranded this a few years ago, because I will add the old label here, and now I have some spare room to add that label. Of course, I am changing the decorum again. If you guys have any suggestions, let me know down in the comments. But they rebranded the Petrus brand, and they actually simplified the label, made this beautiful, in this case Bordeaux or orangey coppery label with the orange gold grains actually, and a very nice hexagonal logo with the brew kettle up here. This is the Double. It is a 7% ABV brown ale, and it actually struck me as odd that even though I really love dark ales or brown ales, we haven't talked about brown ales and doubles that much on this channel. I believe this is the 129th review, and I maybe talked about 3 or 4 brown ales. We have talked about a few quadruples or barley wines, but not entirely the same, because a double is mainly a bit lower in ABV. Starts around 6, which will be the bottom, the lower limit, and it goes up to where barley wines and quadruples start, so around 11%, maybe 12. This one is a 7%. Now let's see what the label tells us. Just the ingredients: water, malted barley, sugar and hops. So they did add some sugar, which is not rare in brown ales. Oftentimes a bit of molasses or a bit of brown sugar is added, brewed by the Brabandere, and that's about all they tell us. Also a lovely bottle cap. Again, very, very simple, just the red circle, the name, that's about it. So let's dive right in and have a taste. This is gonna be a very short video. Smells quite sweet right off the bat. Quite malty. Now that's no surprise, because what I failed to mention is that this beer is brewed with 6 varieties of specialty malts. different kinds of roasted or colored malts. And it does smell very fruity as well. Now, of course, just like hops, different malts give different aromas, different flavors. Very nice color, quite clear for a brown ale. We do get quite a thick head of foam. Now, many brown ales do deliver a thick head of foam, especially the doubles that are quite low in alcohol. More alcohol often makes the head dissipate more quickly. But in this case, it has something to do with the temperature as well. I took it out of the fridge like half an hour ago, making this not room temperature, but yeah, the temperature will have rose for about 3-4 degrees, so this will be somewhere between 7 and 10 degrees centigrade right now, which is an ideal temperature. That is, yeah, between 6 and 8, the bottle tells us, and I'm guessing that we will be somewhere around that 8-degree mark. Why? Well, the colder it gets, first of all, more carbon dioxide is being taken in by the beer. And secondly, if you warm up your beer a tiny bit, more aromas will come out. Much more aromatic. This is always a bit odd because you know it's not in there, but you do seem to smell certain things like fruits, like in this case some red fruits, some berries maybe. Tiny hint of cherry, also of course some molasses, maybe a bit of toffee. Also quite a bit of roastiness. Now, if we look at this beer, it's not really brown. It's more of a reddish brown, a very deep red brown color. And it is rather clear, not much yeast is in there. Let's have a taste. Yeah, first off, quite a bit of carbon dioxide, slightly boozy for a 7%er. I'd say mainly the aftertaste suggests that there's a bit more alcohol in there, but as we talked about before, carbon dioxide boosts your awareness of alcohol, so that's probably why it tastes a bit boozier. It is quite refreshing and a bit thinner in the mouth than I expected, yet not unpleasant. And I do get a wide variety of aromas. I do get some roastiness from those darker malts. I do get some, even a hint of coffee, like in a stout. I do get a tiny hint of chocolate, and that in its part boosts the red fruits that I talked about. So still a bit of berries, a bit of cherry even. Now, call me crazy, but I do get the idea that this has a slightly, yeah, a metallic side to it. and that does happen every now and then. Maybe this is yeah, a special batch, or I'm not gonna say a special batch because that sounds like intent, but I also don't want to say a bad batch because the metallic aftertaste doesn't make your beer bad. It sometimes happens that there's a bit too much iron in your water, and that oftentimes results in a slight metallic flavor and scent, mostly in the foam, and that's why I dipped my finger in the foam and like tapped the tip of my nose and the tip of my tongue. It's not very present, so yeah, it's not very present, so it might be somewhere in my head. On the other hand, absolutely not a disgrace. I've had this with beers that I've brewed, so yeah, nothing really wrong with that. Again, lovely colors here, lovely color scheme, some brownish dark beige foam, absolutely love it. Still quite fruity, so the combination of these malts and the esters from the yeast make this a very yeah, refreshing beer, and which is for a double, I'm not gonna say rare, but yeah, it's not usual. Okay, for me this is a great beer all in all. How should I score this? Let's see. It is quite average. It is quite well, yeah, average. It is very classic. It is rather strong tasting. It's not that strong, so you can drink more than one in an evening. You do have the fruitiness. I love the combination of these 6 malts. Let's call it in Untapped a 3.5 or 3.75, somewhere around that range. So yeah, as usual, I'll see when I enter it. Let's leave it at that. As usual, if you guys like this video, comment down below, like this thing, hit the thumbs up. If you want to see more, subscribe, hit the bell icon. You will get notifications whenever I upload something, which is normally on Wednesday, like today, Friday and Sunday, if I'm not delayed like last week. If you guys can get your hands on this one, like if you're in the UK and there's a little shop around, yeah, just step in and get yourself a 4-pack. I believe 6 or 7 quid. That's pretty good pricing. It's not cheap, it's not expensive either. If you have tasted it, let me know, and let me know down in the comments what you thought of it. What was your experience with this beer? I'm very curious as to what other people think of our beers. That being said, I'm gonna enjoy this a little bit further, and I will see you guys on Friday with another beer, and I might go for another lambic beer because I know some of you guys are absolute lambic heads. So cheers you guys, see you on Friday.